Just you and I.
The punctuation for what the new generation kind of means was COVID, because I think so many people and the way that we view the scene completely changed because of COVID and because of social media and TikTok and how involved everyone is online now. And so that's kind of what new generations means to me, but also just the new sound that comes with.
Just you and I.
The moments when I need to hype myself up before a set, and I'm like, okay, I'm as good as I am right now. I'm not going to get much better in the next minute. So all I could do is be what I am, try my best, get in the vibe, just ignore the misc basically, and not get too in my head about it.
Just you and I. 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 Just you. Just you. Just you and I. Just you. Just you. Just you and I.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the One More Thing New Generation podcast. Last time we interviewed Ekstatic, and this time we're keeping things familiar with another amazingly talented DJ, producer and vocalist. She started out as a singer-songwriter, but along the way she found her way to the spotlights. You guessed it right, today we're having a chat with Viridity. 4 years ago, in 2021, she was Hospital Records' next woman in drum and bass, and in 2024 she got to play on a rotating stage at Let It Roll, supported her favorite Shogun legends like Spectra Soul and Paul and Bryson and Troxy, and did so many more amazing things. Safe to say, Viridity has had a massive growth over the years, but something tells us she's not going to stop anytime soon. So hi Viridity, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Last time we interviewed Ekstatic and she told us to interview you. Yeah, here we are. What's your bond with Ekstatic?
Well, yeah, I'm gassed to be here. It's sick that she recommended me because I think she's so cool. I know her through the way that lots of people know each other, through Instagram, I guess. I saw her doing her videos and I just rate any vocalist DJs. I'm like, I want to get to know what's going on. So I think we've just been aware of each other for a while. She's based in Birmingham. And then I got her on the Spoo show, and that's when I met her in person. And she's just such a legend and so talented. She's such a sick vocalist, and she's got such a specific style and is really in it for the scene and the community they've got in Birmingham. So that's how we know each other.
Then this podcast is called New Generations. Yeah, what does that mean to you?
So New Generations, I think, is such a good podcast topic. It's such a good name, especially with how the scene is with the drum and bass scene now. I think there's so many new people and new producers and DJs and vocalists. And what that means to me, I mean, part of it, I think the punctuation for what the new generation kind of means was COVID, because I think so many people and the way that we view the scene completely changed because of COVID and because of social media and TikTok and how involved everyone is online now. And so that's kind of what new generations means to me, but also just the new sound that comes with. I think the new gen of people is a lot more eclectic, and people tend to go between genres a bit more. Most of the time when I'm out now, sets from the new gen compared to the old gen, or the older heads who've been in it for ages, I think they were more would stick to one specific kind of subgenre. But now the new gen goes between so many different subgenres. It's just much more fluid in that way. But yeah, that's what the new gen means to me.
Can you elaborate on the rave, how that has changed after COVID? Because you said a lot of new ravers came into the scene, obviously, after COVID. How has that changed for you as a DJ?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely changed. I actually don't know if it's for the better. I think that, the new producers and artists that are in the scene is definitely for the better, and it's really fresh, and there's so many fresh ideas and sick producers. But in terms of in the rave, I don't know whether I prefer it now, because I think there's a lot of short attention spans, And generally people just want to go to a set and like have the socks blown off rather than be there for like the vibe. And I think before COVID and like I guess before the new gen, which is also like the new gen of ravers, really like the younger ravers, I think people used to go to a whole night, stick it out for the whole night and listen to the sets and listen to the journey of the night. And now it feels like people are more just there to like get a good clip of like I don't know, headaches dropping a banger or for it to then go viral on TikTok, or they're just their expectations and their attention span is so short that like now all it's affected the DJs and all the DJs just got a mix really quick. So I don't know if I prefer that. I don't know if I prefer the new gen of the rave, but maybe that's also just like me clinging on to what
Yeah.
first got me into the scene.
How has that influenced you as a DJ?
Good question. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely conscious of the new way that people interact with drum and bass and the new crowds that I'm playing to, but I think it's just more motivated me to make sure that I'm like keeping like something new all the time. Like there's the set is constantly evolving, that it's still a journey, like still, you know, paying attention to that, you know, the way that people used to be and DJs would just roll out and it would just select the vibe. But I'm also much more conscious to be like, okay, like what am I going to do now that's going to bring back people's attention? Like what am I going to do now that's going to keep people dancing and engaged? So that's in it. And that actually, that's probably a positive thing because it's made me a better DJ for it, because I'm like always trying to think of what I can do that's interesting, or is it a bit unexpected, or keep someone's attention.
The thing that you're trying to do is bring the old generation and the new generation a bit together. Like, I feel like that's what you said.
Yeah, kind of, because I love the old style of drum and bass so much, and like that's really what I love about it. But obviously, you know, there are pros and cons to both, and you know, it makes you think more creatively when things evolve, and when like the new gen are pushing these new boundaries, it makes you think how you can better your. And also, it's important to be current with anything, right? Like, it's important to be aware of what's popular, because regardless of what my opinion is, like, you got to stay in tune with what people like. So there's also a level of like just trying to keep people dancing. I think that's what a DJ does to the core, is try and keep people dancing, keep people engaged and enjoying it, basically.
And what do you like?
What do I like in terms of like DJs?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm still like a big fan of like the old sound, and like, you know, I saw the Spectral Soul set at Troxy with the Shogun Audio crew last weekend, and like that probably is my favorite type of set, like a proper rollout, but not just old tunes. Like production wise, I think there's a lot of really good production coming out that's modern and new, but that style of like just really not just slamming in a really heavy tune out of nowhere unless it's like part of that journey. Like the journey of a set is just so important to me. So like a Spectral Soul set or a Calic set or a break set, whether it's that's my favorite type of sets to see.
How was it at Shogun to play on the same lineup of the legends that you looked up to, you know, coming into the scene?
It's so cool. I mean, always get imposter syndrome a bit with it. And obviously, I'm still a very small fish. So it's just, you know, a supporting set. But even to be supporting a lineup like that, I feel like I'm in the right place, because they are the people that I look up to. And Shogun is the sound that I respect so much. And so it's good. It's a bit of imposter syndrome. And hopefully, I don't know, hopefully I can uphold, and it's worth me being on the lineup like that. I can keep up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so how do you, I guess, conquer that imposter syndrome? Like, what are some of the tips that you might have for us?
I don't know. I don't really have a solution. Like, I think I fluctuate between hyping myself up, the moments when I need to hype myself up, like before a set. And I'm like, okay, like I'm as good as I am right now. Like I'm not going to get much better in the next minute. So all I could do is be what I am, try my best, get in the vibe, just ignore the misc basically, and not get too in my head about it. And then like sometimes when afterwards, like, after I've done a set, I did a back to back with that Shogun crew for with the Shogun people at Corsica Studios like a year ago now, and that was like top tier imposter syndrome. But on the night, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to firm it. Like this is my dream, right? To be playing again back to back with Polo Bryson and Substance, and it was such fun, like family back to back in Galaxy. But then afterwards, like I was like, oh my God, I really did not keep up, and maybe I just wasn't really meant to be there, and I just didn't feel like I really was good enough to be there. But you've just got to be forgiving. Like actually, that's the solution. I think you've just got to be forgiving. Like try your best, and like it's fun, like have fun, but don't beat yourself up about it too much afterwards. I think that's what I would say. I'm trying.
Maybe let's rewind back now because you were talking about like how you got into the scene through like the very like soulful, like the stories. Can you recall what attracted you to like drum and bass at first? Like what made you fall in love with the genre?
Bristol is my one answer. Obviously, it's so many things, like and home listening, and there's like people that you home listen to, like I listened to Ethelwood, and I listened to like a lot of the med school stuff before I went to uni in Bristol. But then when I went to uni in Bristol, it really solidified why I love drum and bass, because everyone in Bristol like is connected to drum and bass somehow, even if they don't want to be. Like it's just so popular in the city, and you can't escape it, and you step out your doorstep and everyone knows what it is. And it's such a cool genre, and the people that like the music love the music, and I'm like a music lover, as I'm sure loads of people are. And so just being amongst people who really really love that music and want to know as much as they possibly can about everything. Like there are so many producers as well, like in where I did a music tech course, and so like just being really engaged with why people love the music, and like seeing it, because there's so many amazing drum and bass raves in Bristol, and there were when I was at uni in 2019. That was like the peak, I think, of for me.
In a city like Bristol, it's almost hard to not do anything with music.
It's really inviting, like it's a smaller city, it's such a creative city, and like I think in London it's so big that you can get lost. Like I came from London, and I don't think I could really find the right groups, or I just couldn't find the right hub and community. And I think that there's such a strong sense of community in Bristol, and so many creatives. Like it's so good for that. It's so inviting.
I read somewhere that you started as a songwriter and then you came into singing later. So that's yeah. So yeah, how and when did you realize that you wanted to become a singer? That you were like, yeah, I'm just gonna write these songs for myself now.
Good question. So yeah, I came from the singer-songwriter side, and also because I just love production. I think production is the coolest thing in the world to me. And so like that was my fascination with it, and I didn't really care too much about the singing. And I used to get really bad stage fright. So when I was like writing songs in school and like for choirs and stuff, like I wouldn't want to be the front person. I would just write the stuff, and then I would play the guitar or the bass or the piano, and I just wouldn't want to be the front man. And then I was getting other people to sing for me for the tunes when I was in sixth form. And then in uni, there just didn't seem like there was that many singers. So people kept being like, well, will you sing? And I was like, I don't know about that. I'm not sure if it's really like my role. Like I feel like I'm a bit more like reclusive, which is funny now because I don't feel like that at all. And it's good to motivate myself to actually get out of my comfort zone and do it. But yeah, there was loads of people were looking for a singer to work with, and so it kind of just fell into it that way. And also I couldn't find a singer when I went to London that I like wanted to sing on my tune, so I just decided I was going to do it.
Yeah, now you're DJing with your own voice and your tune, so like that's quite a journey that you did there.
Quite a journey. And sometimes I get nervous, but I do think it's just about finding your thing, because like it wasn't right for me to be super exposed and have a band and sing in the front of like a band, but it feels so right to be doing the DJing and then do some singing, like interact, then do the DJing again. It's like it's just finding your right thing, I think.
Where did that click for you? Like, this is what I'm supposed to do?
Well, it was from Hospital Records were like, you should do the singing and the like I can't remember if I'd tried it or I was playing with the idea of it, but when I was doing the mentorship back in 2021, they were like, no, you really should focus on incorporating that and being a strong part of your set, which was really, really useful. Because then even now, sometimes like I think there's occasions where if I did a festival, the hospitality on the beach, and I'll be like, okay, one of them I'm not going to sing for. I'm just going to do like, just going to roll out for a whole set, because it's like fun, sometimes fun to just mix it up. And then people were like, no, like you really should sing, like that's like part of your vibe, like you really should incorporate keep your singing as part of your performance. And like they're right, I really should. I shouldn't just get lazy and just do roll out for the whole set. But yeah, it's one of those where I do need to remind myself that it's important to do it, and I do enjoy doing it still now, like, and it's really nice when I've got like a good crowd and I can really like sing at them. But yeah, sometimes it just takes motivation to like keep in touch with that side of things, and people say too, which is good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the hospitality mentorship, like how that has changed you. But, like you partly already answered that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because like when you sent me this message, and you were like, oh, for the new, like the next gen podcast, I was like, oh gosh, like I did chat to One More Thing in 2021. I was like, am I just now not part of the next gen? Like, am I getting old and like not current? Because it was a while ago. Like the mentorship was in 2021. So
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a little while. It was really, really useful. And I think really like for me, I wasn't pushing music before I got the mentorship. And I think it's the nature of those mentorships have kind of slightly changed now, because I got approached to apply for it. So then I hadn't decided that I fully wanted to do music really. So it was like kind of the other way around. And I've decided that I really loved it and I really wanted to try and pursue like the Viridity. And so it's been more of like a really strong like learning curve. Like I learned so much, and now I'm still like on that trajectory, I think.
So in 2020, you already did an interview with One More Thing. In that interview, you're saying how you can't escape your sound. How has that evolved over the years?
Still true. I don't think I can, to be honest. Like I just think, I don't know why. Maybe it's partly why it's a slow process, because you know, I'm not very good at like replicating something. Like I might hear a tune and be like, I want to make a tune just like that. And then I'll try and make a tune just like that. And it will make me want to take it in a different direction. And then I'll start taking it in a different direction. It won't sound anything like the tune that I initially had listened to. And I think it's kind of like your smell. Like I think your sense of smell, you don't know your own sense of smell, but it's always on you. And like, that's kind of how I feel about writing music. And I think it's the same with a lot of other producers, where like as much as you try to not make something, like even if you did, like I'm not now trying to make stuff sound like it's not mine, but you just can't not make something that sounds like you, I think sometimes.
That's a good thing, right? Because then like people will hear you and like, or like he'll hear something from you. It's like, yeah, that's her. No, that's
I
good.
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Sometimes it's annoying because I think the thing about drum and bass is, you know, it's so mixed down wise and like technically it has to be so clean. And I think sometimes because I'm not that good at hearing something and then replicating it, it takes me so long to actually get the like tunes to be over the line and finished, because I just can't do that. Like my brain doesn't work like that. I just end up, you know, going on a tangent. So there's like a pro and a con.
Then you were also saying how you wanted to see more diversity in the scene.
Yeah.
Has that changed?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely do still want to see diversity in the scene. Actually, no. Now I just want it all to be white middle class men. I'm joking. Yeah, I still want to see more diversity in the scene, and I think it's something that takes time, because like you can have a diverse lineup, and like because it wasn't diverse for so long, I think you can't just put like all the new gen that's much more of a mixed group and then put like someone who's, you know, is only a support and then put them at the top of the lineup. And unless, I mean, I don't think it's like that as much now. I think that there are really big acts that are not just part of that same majority of like white middle class men, basically. And I think that they are getting booked more, and that's really great to see. And there is more diversity. But I also do think that these things take time. And like now it feels like we're, you know, in terms of like smaller artists, I think it's a lot more diverse and it's way better. But it actually takes time for those smaller artists to grow to the point where we have completely even lineups across the board, and it's not just the headliner slot isn't completely like even yet, but the diversity is much better. I think it's like a complicated one because people will say, you know, oh, that you've just put like a woman on the bottom of this lineup to like make it feel like you've done a diverse lineup, but actually it's also just like maybe it just takes time for it to be more even at the top rather than just at the bottom at the moment, if that makes sense. Yeah, we're in a transitional period, right? Like at some point, I hope, you know, in like 5 years or so, we're going to have fully diverse lineups from the top down to the bottom. But at the moment, it's still just that transitional period where a lot of the headliners still fulfill that particular category. And it is changing. And there are like, you know, as I said, there are so many headliners that represent different groups, and they are getting booked as well, but it just takes time. Like I do think it's better though. I actually, you know, I think the scene is much better for it, and there's a lot more awareness, and people are much more, they're trying to make a difference, you know.
Yeah, it's like it also takes some headliners to bring people in and then to have them discover the smaller acts they're playing so that they can grow.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. Always finding that fine line between, you don't want to just create a lineup because you're trying to make something look diverse, right? Like the music has to come first. So you got to choose the acts that are right for that night, and the acts that you like, and the acts that you think people are gonna like and is gonna sell tickets or whatever. And that of course makes sense, but you just got to find that balance, because I also hate like when I see a lineup that's just all middle class white men, or yeah, like just the same group basically, I think. And so it's just consciously trying to make the effort to, where you can, just always choose to be more inclusive. Like I think that's the thing, is like people now, they are making that decision to consciously always be more inclusive, but not just meaning that you just find whoever's the local DJ who's a woman or part of a minority group and just bung them on the bottom of the lineup. It's like you actually have to like, you know, try and find someone that you think is right for the night, the same way that you would for the headliner. You should do that for whoever it is, you know.
Yeah. How are you looking back to 2024?
I think 2024 has been a really big learning year for me still. Again, I've been making loads of music, which is really, really good. And I think I'm really getting to a point now where I know what my sound is and there's promising things lined up. But it's still been like a learning year at the end of the day. Like I've played some really good shows. I've had like a really good time with the shows, but I think 2025 is going to be more on releasing sides. So I hopefully should have music out, which will be good.
Yeah, I saw on one of your one of the moments that you had this year was at Let It Roll. You played at like a rotating stage. Like, how cool is that? How was that?
It was so fun. Like Let It Roll, yeah, definitely playing sets like Let It Roll and some other good sets were like the milestones this year, and that rotating stage was so fun. It was like 1 minute I'd be like playing to one crowd, and then because it's also operated by people, like it's not automatically done. Like they hitch the stage up and then they turn you, and so like you don't really have any warning, and it's like a little bit janky.
Oh, no.
So I'd be like looking, like performing to this group of people, whatever, and then like they just pick you up and turn you around and be like, okay, now I'm just performing to this group of people. But it was really fun. Like the whole of Let It Roll was just such a kooky festival. I've always wanted to go as a punter, and so it was so good to just see it and get that experience. I would have never thought that I'd get to go as a DJ. So it was really, really cool.
Do you have other moments like that you really think back on this year? Like, damn, this happened. Like, this was cool.
Just the coolest thing for me is whenever I chat to people and they really like what I'm doing. I think that's like my favorite feeling, is like, so even at Let It Roll, there was someone who said he was from China, and he was like, oh yeah, and I've been listening to what you do for ages and listening to your mixes, and I really like the tunes that you have on Spotify, and I was like, oh, like that. Those are the moments for me where it really feels, because I just am such a small fish, like I feel like I'm still really new. So when people know who I am and like what I'm doing and what like listen to my mixes or listen to my music, it's like the most meaningful thing for me above all of it. Like it's cool to play any sets, but it's even cooler to like have a chat with someone who you've like directly impacted in some way.
Let's look forward to 2025 already. What are some goals for you? You said something about new music.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have, I mean, I know I will have some releases out in 2025. I'm hoping that I'm gonna have lots of releases out in 2025. I'm working really hard behind the scenes basically. And that's like a lot of what this year has been, is just been working really hard behind the scenes so that I can get this music out that I care so much about, and the new stuff that I'm writing that really feels like it represents what I care about basically. So that's what 2025 is going to be for me. I mean, I don't want to say it for sure, but I hope that's like, it's just gonna be strong from the release side, and I'm gonna have lots of stuff out. And then I'm playing some cool shows as well. I'm playing in Rotterdam in February, in Bristol and Butlins, big up Butlins. And that's in February. And then I think I've got other stuff in the calendar, which should be good. So that's like sort of what my 2025 is going to be looking like, hopefully.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so those were all my questions. So I've got one question left for you. Who do we need to interview next?
I'm going to go with Arcturious. She's a really sick DJ. Do you know of Arcturious?
Not really, no.
Funnily enough, she's actually the new Women in Drum and Bass mentee for
Oh,
Hospital.
cool. Okay.
So I'm just clearly a big fan of the Women in Drum and Bass Hospital mentorships. Just check her out. She's so cool. I really love her selections. She's from the Netherlands.
Oh, cool.
And just has really good energy. Like every time I've chatted to her, she's just been so like just really sincere about how like, she just loves the music. And I love chatting to people when you like just get a sense that they just love what they're playing and they love the music so much. So she's just a really cool Don. So definitely think you should chat to her next.
Just you and I.